Welcome to the A New Insight Podcast, empowering and inspiring your journey to optimal health. Hosted by Dr. Supatra Tovar, clinical psychologist, registered dietitian, fitness expert, and author of Deprogram Diet Culture. Rethink your relationship with food, heal your mind, and live a diet-free life. I follow my guests' journey to optimal health, providing you with the keys to unlock your own wellness path. Tune in and evolve with us. Welcome back, everyone. We're back for the second half of this incredible interview with sober lifestyle advocate, podcast host, and recovery storyteller, Cat Greenleaf. Cat gave us some really thought-provoking insight into her sobriety journey, what it means to forgive, and how we can be more self-compassionate. Cat, I can't wait to learn more. Welcome back.
All right, let's do it.
So let's talk about soberness. I love this podcast, and you have gotten some really amazing guests on there, many of them pretty high-profile celebrities. Can you tell me some of your most memorable guests and what stories or insights impacted you most from your guests?
Yes, ma'am. So there are about 3 that rise to the top. I mean, first of all, everyone, all of them. I can't believe that people are so giving to come on and tell their stories. But the first one that comes to mind was actually my first guest, which was the actor Tim Daly. Tim, I had him on my old show once or twice, so I knew him a little bit, and I didn't know his sobriety story. And when he sat down in that chair and just told it, and talked about trauma and talked about his family and talked about getting sober, I mean, I just couldn't get over the honesty. And to me, that's a real act of kindness. This stuff is not easy. And there's, as we've discussed, at least for me, it was shameful. And the generosity of spirit of sharing stories about addiction, I was blown down. And I, almost never spoke about my own substance abuse issues. Even going into the show, I was planning on asking the questions, never answering them. In AA meetings, I never really talk. I just couldn't put voice to it. Like, I was so overwhelmed by my own sadness and guilt and shame over my own drinking. And he just was very plain about it and very brave and honest. So that set the tone for me and allowed me to open up, which of course then deepened my own healing and gave a lot more depth and dimension to my recovery. So Tim Daly, A. Then B, shortly thereafter, I had Dr. Drew on, and he also had been on my old show a couple times. And I was still pretty stuck in the guilt and shame cycle when he said, listen, Kat, let me contextualize this for you. He said, do you agree that a brain is an organ? Yes. Or a muscle or whatever it is. And he said, do you agree that a body part can be sick? Yes, of course. Well, then why is it that you think your brain can't be a little sick and broken? And it's not you and your morals and your heart and your judgment. It's you have this broken chemistry, and that's what leads you to be a problem drinker. And that changed things for me. I'm like, well, if my physical makeup adds to this disease, it is a disease. That's what it was. Sorry, I missed actually the punchline of this whole thing, which is I wasn't sure if it's a disease or like a moral failing. And he was saying it's a disease, and it's a disease which is physical, and basically you have the deck stacked against you biologically. Well, that put things in perspective and made me feel a lot better, knowing that it wasn't just that I failed every time I picked up a drink. Yeah, I mean, I did, except that I didn't have the muscle that maybe some folks have to stop and to say no, to say, oh, this leads me down a bad path. Let me not do that. I didn't have the strength of muscles like some people do because of my makeup. And that alleviated a lot for me and allowed me, again, with every sort of heavy brick of shame, doubt, guilt, fear that gets lifted, you can get that much deeper into your real self, in your real healing. And that's what it did for me. So Dr. Drew. And third is Daryl, DMC from Run DMC, and Daryl McDaniel. He Oh, God, that guy and I have a lot in common. And well, you can tell we look a lot alike, obviously. But besides that, he talks a lot about shame and guilt and how what a waste of time and that you really can't. Similar to Dr. Drew, he said, look, you have depression, you have a broken leg, you have a sinus infection, you have alcoholism. Like, it's a category of disease. It's a disability. It's something that you didn't ask to have. It's nothing to be ashamed of, just like you wouldn't be ashamed if you broke your leg. Now, it does get complicated in that, and I find them actually the saddest and yet the most empowering thing about alcoholism is it's a disease that we did not ask to have, but the cure is something only we can execute. I didn't want to have alcoholism, but I'm not going to be cured of alcoholism unless I take the steps to stop drinking. So in a way, I think it'd be easy to be like, well, can't stop anyway, so might as well just keep drinking. That sounds relaxing. But in fact, I do have the power to stop. And so I can vanquish this disease. And Daryl really made me look at it in terms of it is a condition, and lots of people have lots of different conditions, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. And that, once again, lifted a cinder block of guilt off of my heart and allowed me then to get to work on the root causes and how I was going to stay sober.
I really love to hear that. And I think, I did hear you questioning on your podcast, is this a disease? Is this not a disease? Well, it is classified as a diagnosable mental health disorder. And that's very important and very powerful. I think for a lot of people, if we could go back to the Ozempic obesity talk too, I think a lot of people found a lot of relief once obesity was classified as a disease, because then when you can look at it, even just medically, then you can design your path toward healing. Yeah. Just like if you were to have diabetes, it is reversible if you take certain steps to try to make it better. You can also just completely do the same thing that you've always been doing and make it completely worse. Same thing with alcohol. And there is also genetic components to it and lifestyle and stress factors that can make that an actual disease for you where you can't stop. And you're right. The one cure is within your hands, which is not to drink anymore, which is very hard for a lot of people. And let's talk about that, because we have social pressure. We've talked about drinking as being just ingrained in our culture. Yeah. So you're going to weddings, you're going to events, and alcohol is everywhere. And I'm going to admit that. I'm a part of a social club, and alcohol is everywhere. And I am trying to be very mindful.
That's so cool.
Well, it's a networking club. It's so fun. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. It's how I people, because I'm in by myself with my dogs. I mean, I do have coworkers. They're my dogs, but I got to get out. I got to people, because otherwise I'm like, whoa.
I get you. Yeah.
But there's so many events, so much drinking involved, and I'm trying to be very mindful about when and how much and all of that stuff. How do you navigate that without drinking at all?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't love social occasions anymore. It's not as fun for me, and I'm shy, and I will often go someplace, not talk to anyone, then leave. And now I just don't go. So, but that's extreme. And the truth is, I've always been more of a homebody. Alcohol was the fuel that let me be out in the world and chatty and all the things. However, these days, it's pretty cool to say you don't drink. Lots of people don't drink. Now, I do want to point out that a lot of people don't drink in states where marijuana is legal. So lots of people need something.
California, here we are.
Right. And New York now too. It's like non-alc beverage sales are highest where pot is legal. And I go back to, because everybody needs something. Not everybody needs something, but many people need a lubricant, right, to get through things. Mm-hmm. Okay. So on a personal note, I don't go out as much anymore at all. But also, when I do, I talk about it loud and proud, because you come to find out people want to lean in and say, I'm trying to give it up, or my husband's an alcoholic, or I grew up looking at my dad drink, or whatever, and then suddenly
Yes.
now there's connection. Now we're talking. And that's what gets me going. I love connection. So not saying I drink is as much of a connective tissue as drinking with somebody.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And I would have to say that probably 99% of people struggle with some form of social anxiety.
You mean
I do
special?
as well.
Hold on.
You're special. You're a special, and you're a part of this crew of people that I think experience extreme nervous system dysregulation when we're out in public. And I will find myself at certain points where I'll get like hot and flushed and sweaty. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like so self-aware. What's going on? And I think that that's that moment that a lot of people turn to alcohol. And if I can help some people and even maybe impart something on you if you go out into these social situations, it feels at those moments when we feel so self-aware and we feel like there's this like crazy spotlight on us and it's like, just really dysregulating. My advice to people is, first of all, if you can't escape that situation, just focus on your breathing. Let the other person talk, because people love to talk, and just focus on your breathing. They'll never notice that you are focusing on your breathing. And the more you focus on your breathing, the more you're regulating your nervous system, especially if the exhale is longer than the inhale. All you have to focus on, or you could even do a little bilateral stimulation. This is called the butterfly hug. I love it. And you cross your arms, and then you just gently tap right and left with your hands, like a little butterfly. And this action turns on your vagus nerve to stimulate action of your parasympathetic nervous system, which helps you calm down. Those little things in those moments. And if you also realize and take the objective stance that pretty much, if I said 99% of people have social anxiety, the person across from you is probably anxious as well. That can help to like normalize some stuff. If you do also have the opportunity, you can always excuse yourself, go to the restroom, shut yourself in the stall and just regulate yourself however you can. And know that this anxiety is normal. We are in front of people, and sometimes it can be scary, and it's okay. And then when you come back into the room, search for that friendly face, that one face that like you can always feel safe with. Even if you're in a room of people you don't know, there's going to be that face. You're going to find, even if you don't know them, there's going to be that face of that person who's going to welcome you and make you feel comfortable. So I do hope that helps.
Yeah,
at least, sure. But I'm also all about staying home and being in my underwear with my dogs. So I get it. I get it. And my husband, he will contest to that. He will most often skip the social functions so he can be in his underwear with my dogs. Absolutely. Totally. For sure.
Agreed.
So for someone who might be sober curious, but afraid of what that might do to their identity or their social life or their edge, what do you want them to know?
Such a good question. First, I would say, if somebody does decide to stop drinking, even just trying it out, it's okay to mourn that and to give it its due. It's you miss it. It's okay to miss it. You can be in mourning for a little while. It's okay. It doesn't have to like, whoa, I gave it up and now I feel amazing. Like maybe you don't. Maybe it sucks. Maybe you miss it. And that's okay. And I think it's important to respect all the different things. But then what I came to find is that I thought I was the life of the party and I was so much fun when I was drinking, but I don't think I was. I don't actually think that my idea of who I was is accurate. And I think people will come to find out almost wholesale that in fact they're much more fun and they're much more appealing to be around, and they're much their identity becomes actually who they are, and to a person who you actually are is way better sober than drunk. It just is. Listen, I sit in recovery meetings twice a day. I have them on the background as I get ready in the morning, as I make dinner at night, and pretty much every person says it's a better life. And it is a better life, even if it's a bumpy road to get from being in active usage to being not in active usage. Once you get there, the relief, the freedom, man, the freedom that you have is so huge. I can't tell you how much time alcohol took up. I can't tell you how much, how many holes I feel like it pierced through my soul. It made everything harder. Even though I needed it, I thought, to make things easier. It didn't make things easier, because even though it's a disease, it's important to point out that it's a disease that has social implications. Cancer probably doesn't make you say horrible things to people. Cancer doesn't make you hit on someone else's husband. Cancer doesn't make you forget your children, and these are things that alcohol does. And nobody deserves that. Just because you're an alcoholic doesn't mean you deserve this bad life that you create for yourself, so it's a really vicious, ugly thing that there is, again, only one remedy, which is to stop drinking. And while I'm on it, sorry, I'm on a real roll here, but I have to point out, I can't stand the term dry drunk. It's the term dry drunk means you're not drinking anymore, but you're not doing the work. You know how hard it is to quit alcohol? It is so hard. Yeah. It is so hard that if that's all you can do, congratulations, you've still done so much. Why is it that because I'm an alcoholic, I now have to do the work, whereas you, who's not one, just gets to skate through life being a total dick or whatever your thing is? You know what I mean? It's not fair. And I congratulate anybody who puts down the thing that was putting them down. And so I don't like the term dry drunk. While I'm at it, I don't like the term California sober because it looks down on marijuana. When again, what if you're like me and it wasn't your problem? So why shouldn't you be able to indulge? Or, I've had a lot of people on the show say, well, you can say you're sober, but you're really not. And I just don't agree with that at all. Not at all.
Yeah, I would say if we could just all put away our judgments,
better.
We have no idea what another person's going through. So
That's right.
It does not help us at all. And I think when we do judge, it actually hurts us. So I agree with you. If somebody is on that journey, let them be on that journey and celebrate them for wherever they are on that journey.
Agreed.
And I love that all that opened up for you was spiritual and psychological, but there's also a lot that opens up for you physically when you quit. Yeah. Give us a picture. There's so many benefits physically that happen.
Well, first of all,
you discovered?
My skin. My skin, your skin does become more glowy when you're not drinking. It just does. Alcohol is a toxin, right? So it dulls everything. So my eyes cleared up, got sparklier. My skin cleared up. You lose weight, which, listen, we're in weight-obsessed America and probably all over the world. So to lose some pounds from this is an added benefit. So all of those
bonus
things. Feeling hydrated. You feel dehydrated all the time as an alcoholic. Mm-hmm. I was always dehydrated. And to not feel like I'm thirsty. It's interesting, the parallel, right? You're thirsty to feel better, so you drink alcohol, but then you're thirsty. You're actually physically thirsty, Yeah,
it's dehydrating.
Right. And so to feel hydrated and then hydrated in your life, it goes together. So that's what helped me physically. Also, you can't really work out, or at least I couldn't, in a real way while I was drinking, while you're drinking alcohol, because the hangover it gets in the way, right? So to be able to work out, not that I love working out, because let's be honest, I don't even forgive me if you're this kind of person, but I'm not sure I can totally relate to people who love to work out. To me, working out's like a thing you have to do, not that you want to do, but that's just
I
me.
don't like calling it working out. I like calling it movement.
Movement. Yes, exactly. Movement is good.
I
So
like moving.
yeah, I like moving too. And I like moving in service of being able to continue moving as I get older, right? So moving is good. But to be able to do that, like if I want to get up with the dogs and walk them, I can now, as opposed to having to drink a pot of coffee, eat some greasy crap, and do all that before I put my sneakers on and get out the door. So it just, again, the freedom, physically, the
Mhm.
freedom is it's real. And by the way, you know how much money you save when you're not drinking? It costs so much to buy alcohol and so
Yes.
little to buy seltzer. So my finances eased up as well.
Oh, I love that. I think too, I notice it really affects my sleep. A lot of people say, oh, it helps me
Yes.
go to sleep. No,
Right.
no. I
No.
will wake up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
without fail if I've had more than like a couple glasses of wine or something like that. And I just think, no, I really don't want that. I am all about sleep maxing at this
Yeah.
point
I keep
because,
hearing that term, sleep maxing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just you got to maximize it. And that's like my priority. I'm like, 9 o'clock. Let's start to get ready. I'm out. I don't.
It's so funny you
Yeah,
say
and
that.
it's made a huge difference in my health.
Really? Okay.
Mhm.
Good to hear, because my husband and I are going through this weird thing now that at like the mid 8s, like 8:30, 8:45, I'm like, if we start getting ready now, by the time it's 8:59, we can slide right in, because 9 o'clock feels respectable to me. I mean, I still got kids running around here. Like I can't get into bed too early, but I do feel like 9 o'clock is respectable sleep time.
Yes.
I
Yes,
love it.
absolutely. Now you brought up seltzer, and that's
Mhm.
so interesting because that's been one way that I have tried to cut down on drinking. Like
Ah,
at home, I don't drink anymore. I have a SodaStream,
yeah.
and I love my SodaStream, and I
Yeah.
drink I drink seltzer water all
Yeah.
night, and it's like my little refreshment after
Yes.
work. And to me, that has like made a huge difference in my health and my skin and weight, the whole deal.
Right.
I heard on your podcast somebody talking about it as like it had something to do with being a zebra, or what was it? What was the term? Like zebra
Okay.
switching or something like
It's,
that, where
I don't
you
know.
switch.
Yeah, you're ringing a bell for me, but I'm old, so
Yeah,
I don't remember.
it had zebra in it. And somebody, if you're listening, please just
Yeah. Oh my God, I gotta
write
look
it
that
in
up.
our comments.
That's really
But
funny.
you
But
switch an alcoholic drink with like a seltzer as a way to practically cut down on drinking.
that's really
Do
smart.
you have do you have any other tips
Yeah.
for people who are wanting to cut down on their drinking, but maybe not stop?
Yes. So, here's what I do. My nightly drink with my SodaStream is I do seltzer over ice with bitters. So I happen to like. There's a brand called Fee, Fee, Fee Brothers. They make an orange bitters. The reason why I'm recommending this is because it tastes like booze. I know there's alcohol in bitters, but listen, I was a case of wine a night type of drinker, so the mouthwash level alcohol that's in the bitters is not exciting for
Yeah.
me. And so I do Fee Brothers bitters in the seltzer with ice, and then I do a dropper full of, it's called Bark and Bitter, and this is it has kicked up my seltzer game so much. And in fact, true story, once again, this morning from the subway, I sent Bark and Bitters a fan letter because I was like,
Yay!
thank you so much for coming up with this. I don't know what's in it, but I put in one drop and it just like deepens the flavor a little bit, because I really
Wow.
like the flavor of alcohol. I like I like the ritual. I like pouring the drink, hearing the ice, and so so ice, seltzer, Fee Brothers, Bark and Bitter. And it's inexpensive, and you feel like you're still playing with the big kids, and I'm really a fan. And honestly, I look forward to it all day, the same way I looked forward to alcohol. But after one of those little cocktails, I'm not yelling at people. I'm not starting to fight with my husband. I'm not puking. So it's a plus for me. So that's, have the thing to look forward to. That's my biggest piece of advice. If that's a sweet at the end of the day,
Mhm.
life is hard. We we need something. And I think having something to look forward to and pin your hopes of the day on is very important.
Yes, some little treat that is not alcohol. What about when people are out? Would you recommend anything other than kind of swapping a seltzer alcohol drink? What helps you when you're out?
Yeah. I mean, food. Uh, if you're not afraid of eating, right? So if I know I'm like, so for example, tonight we're going out to dinner. I might have had a lot more to eat during the day, but I want to make sure that when other people are ordering cocktails tonight, I can have mozzarella sticks. Because so a little bit of pre-planning, because in fact, if you can have mozzarella sticks and like a Diet Coke, what's like worse for you but more fun than that? To me,
Oh
nothing.
God, no. As long as it makes you happy. I love this. So we're almost out of time, and I know you have to get out of here. I wish I could talk to you all day because I adore you. If you could speak directly to one person listening who secretly wonders what their life would be like without alcohol, what would you tell them life is like on the other side?
So much better. You will gain the respect of your friends, colleagues, and family members. Here's how it sounds terrible, but when I'm feeling like I really want to drink and I know I'm going out, like you said, to a wedding or a thing, I think about how superior I am. That's right. That's it. I don't drink and I'm smug about it. And there you are drinking and making a fool of yourself. And I get to sit here and think about how superior I am. So, it really helps. That's what your life is like. You can walk around and feel superior because you are.
Well, and I would say more so than that, you're just strong. And it takes a lot of strength to be able to stop something. And I think that is so respectable. And that is, I think, what people can carry with them. If they do have the strength to say, this is a problem for me, I don't want to do this anymore, and they carry through that, I think you can walk with your head held high.
Absolutely. Oh, and I just want to point out, you don't even have to admit that it's a problem for you. I just don't drink.
There you
you
go.
don't owe anybody an explanation. You don't know.
Yes.
You don't owe it. You don't have to make up a story. I just don't drink.
Yes. Yes. And I think, thank goodness, we are living in a culture right now that celebrates that. And I absolutely celebrate you. Cat, tell people how that they can find you. Tell them about your podcast and all the 411.
All right. So soberness.com, SOBERNESS.com. Our socials are at Soberness Podcast and at Cat Greenleaf, CATGREENLEAF. That's it.
Cat, thank you so much for joining me. It is truly an honor. I swear, I do have podcast host crush on you. I think you're amazing.
Likewise,
and I absolutely respect your journey. And I celebrate it and celebrate all the people who are brave enough to come on and, be vulnerable. I think vulnerable is the highest sign of bravery that there is. Wow. So I encourage everyone to be vulnerable in front of people. That's what makes you strong. Thank you so much, Cat.
Thank you. Take care.
Yes, and thank you everyone for joining the A New Insight podcast. I will see you next time.
Thanks for tuning into the A New Insight podcast. Please remember, the contents shared on this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. You can find us anywhere podcasts are streaming, on YouTube at my.anu.insight and at anu-insight.com under the A New Insight podcast tab. And follow us on our socials at my.anu.insight on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more updates. Tune in next time and evolve with us.